Remember the time I almost flew off the side of a 60-foot water slide when I was a kid? Or how about the time I almost got eaten by an alligator when I was 12? That's right, these are my most insane childhood stories ever, told in chronological order, starting with, of course, the moment I gained consciousness. I don't know about you, but I remember the first moment I gained consciousness as a toddler. Huh? Huh? What? Hey, where are we?
The moon!
Okay, excuse me? Yes, dear. Do you know where my mom is? Oh, somebody's gotta go finish their hand turkey.
Wait, no,
You have to finish your hand turkey. It is insane to me how we as human beings can just be on autopilot for years and then in a single instant just wake up. I'm not sure if anybody can relate to me, but I remember as a kid little vivid flashes of this kindercare place that my mom would leave me at while she went to the gym.
leave me alone!
Yeah! And it was cool. One side was for literal babies and their air jail chairs. Free me more. And the other side was for the toddlers and the 3 to 5 year olds. And I don't remember quite what it was like before I woke up. Lots of arts and crafts, those little glue stick things, those fun scissors that could cut in different shapes, you know, all that tiny kid stuff. And it was okay. I didn't really have a care in the world. I would go there, play around, do arts and crafts, then my mom would come pick me up. I didn't really think about it too much. Because I couldn't yet. Then one day, when I was about 5 years old, that all changed. That day I was at home because I was homeschooled, and it was probably lunchtime or something because I was on my way to the kitchen to get a snack or something. At that moment, my brain's consciousness receptors must have literally been like 2 wires about to be conjoined, because as my foot hit that bottom step to reach the ground floor, I must have jolted those suckers, causing them to finally connect. Something hit me. It started small. I literally remember feeling something in my brain. And I tried to keep walking like it was nothing, but I just couldn't. And I stopped dead in my tracks in the middle of the living room. And it's like the floodgates exploded as all the knowledge of the world just flooded my mind in a single instant. All the stuff that I had learned so far just started to actually register. We are on Earth, there are stars, everything's made of atoms. Hello! I think I ate a crayon earlier, and I just stood there for what felt like an hour, and then it really hit me. I have free will. I am not kidding you. These were my first recorded thoughts in my little pea brain. I remember thinking, I have free will. Everyone does. Anyone can do anything that they want. The easiest way to describe my first thoughts is like this. Life is like driving a car. We all know the rules of the road, stay in your lane, stop at red lights, etc. But no one is forcing you to do any of these things. I can drive anywhere I want. I can do anything I want. Of course, there'll be consequences to your actions, but nothing is actually stopping you from doing those actions in the first place, other than each individual's moral compass. And, well, you know, God, but no joke. I didn't even know the words moral compass, but I tell you, right then and there for the first time, I understood the concept. I looked down at my hands and realized, my life can be whatever I make it to be. When most of the shock value wore off, I remember pausing, looking up, and then just yelling to my mom, Mom!
Yes?
Am I a toddler?
Yes, sweetie.
Huh. And then I ran to go grab a cookie or something. Later that week, my mom dropped me off at the kindercare place, but this time, it was so different. I looked around and I'd never noticed it before, but all these kids were acting so strangely, like they haven't snapped out of it yet. Time to draw your hand turkeys! Eventually I stopped needing to go there and I could just hang out with my brother and go swimming or something, but I will never forget that initial brain implosion, as well as the whole revelation about free will. I don't know about y'all's Big Bang moment, but my realization has stuck with me over the years. I'm 22 and I still think about it sometimes, and that realization has helped me accomplish some really really cool things in my life so far, and praise God, I'm just getting started. Because these are some of my first ever memories after my Big Bang moment. It all started this one day when me and all the other little kids were gluing like miscellaneous things such as glitter and googly eyes to these outlines of Nemo. I don't know, okay, don't judge me. The adults in the room just told us to do it, and so of course we had to. Anyway, when all of a sudden, and I remember this vividly, this one blonde kid named Jaden. This was his actual name, by the way. This is the first time I've ever used somebody's real name in a video. And yes, Jaden, I'm calling you out for something you did to me almost 20 years ago. But anyway, Jaden walked over to me, took my glue stick, and went over to add more stuff to his cutout of a fish. And I couldn't let that slide. So I walked over and I was like, "Hey Jaden, you took my glue stick. Can I have it back?" And Jaden just turned around and he swiped the glue stick onto my shirt. I'm like, "Hey, what the heck, man?" So I ran to one of the teachers like, "Pardon me, madame. That rascal, referred to as Sir Jaden, performed a cunning thievery on my adhesive device. I suggest an immediate and unusual outlandish..." Miss, he took my glue stick, so I had one, and now I don't, and I don't have my, glue stick anymore because, of him, and he did it. Oh, I understand. Here's another glue stick, little man. But justice has yet to be exacted. I demand that you— Go ahead now, go finish putting googly eyes on your Nemo. Well, all right, that does sound quite delightful. But when I got back to my craft fish, I noticed one of his eyes were missing. And I looked over to see Jaden had 3 googly eyes on his Nemo. 3, I tell you. Everyone was only allotted 2 googly eyes per fish, and that, good sir, is too many eyes for Nemo. So I put down my new glue stick, and I went over again to him. But when I walked over, I noticed that he had like 4 glue sticks and more eyes and glitter than everyone else. So I cordially invited Mr. Jaden to return my googly eye. Hey, give me my googly eye back. You stole it from my Nemo. See, I only have one. Hey, that was my new glue stick. Give it back. And he marked my shirt again with my new glue stick. Hey! All right, that's it, buddy. You asked for it. Your mom is here. Woo! But in the car on the way home, I remembered what Jaden did to me. And I will never forgive this. So like a week went by, I had gone to the kindercare place a few more times, and of course, every time I went, Jaden was hogging all the best toys, stealing other kids' arts and crafts, and just all around being a bully to everyone. And the adults just did not seem to care. Yeah, apparently it's illegal in every state except Texas. And you're saying the president of the homeowners association had it in her yard? Yeah, something about a rabid squirrel and a raccoon. Come on, give it back! A few days later, they had all of us in the gymnasium, which had hula hoops, basketballs, footballs, those squishy dodgeballs that no one ever wanted to touch because some kid took a bite out of one, and a select few of those beautiful, awesome, forbidden balls that you see at Walmart that your mom never allows you to get. And these things were rare in here. Like, if you had one, it was the best day ever, and everyone wanted to play with you. So I'm just walking around when I look over to see, oh my gosh, one of the forbidden Walmart balls just lying by itself. So without hesitating, I ran over to grab it. The other kids turn to see that I have one of the cool balls, so more and more come running over so that we can all play with it. We're bouncing it around, punching it and clocking other kids with it. In what felt like an organized game when someone hit it way too hard and it bounced away into the corner. I got it. I ran over to grab it and bring it back when I turn around, and give me the ball. Apparently, the ball had bounced so far away, none of the other kids even knew what was going on. Come on, give it to me. No. I said give it to me. No, we had it first. Fine, I don't want it anyway. And he shoved me really hard. I stumbled back and I almost fell over, but I kept my balance. And all of a sudden, something in my brain snapped. I am done letting Jaden push me and all of the other kids around with zero consequences. This ends today. So I drop the coveted Walmart ball, and he's way bigger than me. So I step back and muster all of my strength, and Jaden gets knocked back so hard, he falls over. He immediately starts crying and runs away. And I'm like, I did it. I felt a mix of pride, but also regret because I didn't mean to make him cry, but I stood up to Jaden and he listened. Well, he at the very least didn't take my stuff. I don't know if he necessarily listened, but boards. Oh no, it's one of the adults. You come here right now. I saw everything. Ah, poop. I immediately got put in timeout. Which sucked because it was a gymnasium day. But at least Jaden is in timeout too because he started it. Wait, what? I'm sorry, what? He literally pushed me first. It's not my fault I drink my milk every day, so my big strong bones are full of calcium. And I was able to withstand his push, and I didn't get knocked over and run away crying. Oh, but just because he, quote, got hurt means that I'm the bad guy, no questions asked. Hey, miss? Jaden actually pushed me first. I was just defending myself and No, don't lie. You pushed him. I saw the whole thing. Yeah, so anyway, when I brought it up in conversation, he just didn't seem to care. Like, I'm literally standing right here, pay attention to me, and I'm pretty sure that's more important than making sure taxes are filed correctly or something. Lady, if you really saw the whole thing, you'd know that I was just defending myself against the known bully who's way bigger than me. If you saw anything at all, you'd see that he gets away scot-free bullying every kid ever for no reason, and this is the first time anyone's actually stood up to him. But I guess no good deed goes unpunished. The kindercare justice system is flawed! But of course, when my mom came to pick me up, the lady who saw everything had to stop her and talk to her first. Yep, I saw the whole thing. Boards pushed him down to the ground and he started crying. It was a big thing. The car ride back home was quiet until my mom broke the silence. Boards, we don't push people, okay? That's not right. But Mom, it wasn't like that. Jaden's an actual bully. He literally takes everything from everyone. But after a few minutes, I was able to explain to her who Jaden is, and I was able to tell her exactly what happened, and she believed me. Okay, if that's what actually happened, I believe you. As long as you don't initiate something like that, and you go to an adult first thing, okay? They're there to help you. I saw the whole thing. Yeah, so anyway, when I brought it up in conversation... Okay, awesome. The cool thing is, you can say what you will about my methods of dealing with Jaden, but he never stole anything from me ever again. In fact, even if I saw him stealing from other kids, all I'd have to do is just walk over, and a lot of times he would run away. But, Jaden, if you're watching this, almost 20 years later, I forgive you. And I'm sorry that I pushed you super hard out of complete self-defense because you pushed me first. But if you are watching, you should also apologize because you started it, framed me, and I got in trouble and you didn't. But you know, that's neither here nor there. Anyway, you all know my brother Splash is almost 5 years older than me, which means when I was a kid, I got, how do I put this politely, the little brother treatment. We're all grown up and like best friends now, and I'm taller than him. But yeah, anyway, back when we were kids, oh boy, was pre-puberty rough. He made me do all sorts of random stuff just because he could. You know, general older sibling stuff. But worst of all, I mean, nothing else compares to the fact that he would make me eat and drink random concoctions that he would throw together. Yeah, so aside from the occasional general bullying, Splash was also really into science! He loved watching the Mythbusters, Bill Nye the Science Guy, and he just had this idea in his mind that being a scientist meant just mixing liquids in a lab until something either explodes or becomes the cure for cancer. Later in life, he realized there's a lot of math involved in all that. But when we were kids, he was obsessed with mixing concoctions. And who better to test them on than yours truly? Yup, anytime he made some wacky mixture, it was up to me to swallow my nausea and take one for the betterment of mankind. Because in his defense, as a kid, I don't know how to make the cure for cancer either. So he could have just stumbled upon the new cornerstone of scientific achievement, and the world would never know unless some brave soul was willing to step forward and guzzle that joint. At least, that's what I thought whenever he needed a test subject to try his new concoction. But above all the times that this has happened to me in my childhood, there are 2 times in particular that stand out above the rest. One day I was minding my own business, hanging out, and Splash was already in the kitchen cooking up something horrible. And I noticed he would also run to the bathroom occasionally and then back to the kitchen. Obviously my curiosity was piqued, so I got up and went to the kitchen. And he's in there mixing something like a madman. He whips around and he's like, "It's not finished yet, come back later." I came back in 5 minutes and he's like, "Behold!" And he lifts up this weird, mushy, speckled substance that's dripping from his hand. He's like, "Go on, try it." I don't want to. But you forgot one thing. You have to. Jeez, I didn't know I had to. Ugh, what is that? Is it good? No! Really? It's an Oreo lightly glazed in toothpaste and topped with some salt, pepper, and maple syrup. I had just put that in my body. Aside from having stomach issues, it wasn't over either. There was an aftertaste that stayed in my mouth, probably because of the properties of the toothpaste, which are designed to keep your breath fresh all day, mixed with syrup and salt, which caused an irreversible amalgamation in my mouth hole, which made my breath stank. And my burps tasted like lightly worn sock-flavored cough syrup. And to top it all off, every once in a while, I'd catch him spying on me. What are you doing? Nothing? Hey. Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. In my own room? Oh yeah, look at that, I guess it is. What's up with this door? What is it, oak? It was like this for the rest of the day, and even the next morning. What are you doing? Nothing, man, I'm just looking at this oak. Dude, what do you want? I don't know, how you doing? You feeling any different? No? Just awkward. Interesting. You feeling stronger at all? Faster? Are you feeling cured? Cured of what, dude? Cancer! No, I don't have cancer. Your weird Oreo syrup paste just tasted bad. It didn't do anything special aside from the fact that somehow it's still stuck to the sides of my mouth. Aha! An adhesive! You see what I mean? Delusional. But at the time, as a kid, I'm just like, dang, just my mad genius brother hard at work for the betterment of mankind. Hey, hi, it's me. 2 seconds here. Because of this mindset, I basically ate glue. That's it. Anyway, fast forward a year or two, and he's upgraded from these rudimentary concoctions to mixing no less than 8 or more ingredients into every experiment, which obviously got me scared, so much so that I would actively avoid and hide from him on all the days that he was in, let's call it, science mode. But I could only avoid him for so long. Finally, 3 days in a row went by when I nearly avoided almost certainly drinking bleach. Then one day, it all came to a head, and I remember it vividly. It was literally 7 a.m. and Splash was already in the kitchen doing the devil's work. I had school to do, and come to think of it, I don't know why he didn't, but anyway, I skipped breakfast in order to avoid getting my liver assaulted, and I just went upstairs to do my school. Subject after subject, I heard the clanging from the kitchen getting louder and louder. He was down there for so long that I finished all of my school for the day, and I just started drawing to kill time. He had never been in science mode for this long before, and I had one teensy problem. I was getting really hungry. It's past noon at this point, and I'm just arting all over my desk, hoping he'll go away so I can get something to eat. I waited as long as I possibly could to go down there because I knew what would happen if I did. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I got up and I went downstairs hoping to just ignore whatever he was doing, but as I peeked around the corner, glad of you to join me. And where do you think you're going? To, get a sandwich? Oh, really? Well, in that case, he pulls out the grossest liquid I have ever seen in my entire life. What is that? Doesn't matter. What does matter is that you're not allowed to step foot in the kitchen until you drink it. I don't make the rules. No, dude, I'm not drinking that. And I sprinted back up the stairs. Another half an hour went by and the hunger was becoming unbearable. I waited as long as I possibly could, hoping he would either leave or forget. And I snuck back to the kitchen, hoping to just make a freaking sandwich or something. Welcome back. Can't come any further till you drink this. Just one sip and I'll let you through. This thing was dark green with some brown cloud resting at the bottom, sporting some thick, semi-floating chunks all throughout. Come to think of it, I have no idea where my parents were at the time of all of this. They're probably finding out about this for the first time right now as they watch this video. And I don't know why I didn't try to get them involved because this was ridiculous. And I'm like, just one sip and you'll let me through, right? Yep, that's it. And I'm thinking, okay, it can't be that bad, right? It must have been an actual chemical reaction because I am not kidding. I remember so clearly the visceral, instantaneous projectile vomit that came out of me the moment this liquid grazed my tongue. Anyway, actually, I'm just gonna call my brother and see if he remembers at all what ingredients were in that concoction because I am genuinely curious and I've never actually asked before. I don't even know if he's gonna pick up. He has no idea I'm doing this.
What's up, bro?
Yo, how's it going, dude?
It's going pretty good. Yeah, what's up?
Dude, I'm making a video about that time that you, made me drink that horrible thing and wouldn't let me back in the kitchen unless I drank it. Do you have any idea what ingredients you put in there?
Yeah, everything that was in the pantry, and then the other pantry, and then the spice cabinet. So from peanut butter and jelly to mayonnaise and mustard to chocolate syrup and vanilla extract flavoring. Vinegar, oil, actually everything. I'm like, you know what? There's not another chance I'll get to actually combine everything.
That's disgusting. Well, I'm glad you had fun. Anyway, I'm recording right now. Do you have anything you'd like to say to the viewers to wrap up this video?
Splash out and don't drink vinegar straight from the bottle.
That is sound advice. But you know what? Here's a completely unrelated question for you. Did you and your neighborhood friends ever try and build a go-kart out of discarded plywood and anything that had wheels in your garage, only to have it, perform perfectly as planned when going down a steep hill and not fall apart at all with absolutely no one getting hurt? I can't be the only one, right? Okay, well, if you haven't, you officially have my permission to live vicariously through me and my crazy friends in this story I'm about to tell you. When I was but a wee lad, before I got my second round of braces, so I still had a massive tooth gap, my neighborhood friends and I were, a bit extreme. You could catch us on any given afternoon, riding our bikes, skateboards, and scooters on, some pretty hazardous equipment. But just like anything, as kids, we very quickly got bored with whatever was going on, so of course we had to make things bigger, further apart, and more dangerous. And just as we were about to have a breakthrough, my brother Splash had an idea. Guys, my dad has a bunch of old wood in our garage. What if we took that wood and built a go-kart with it? And when it's finished, we can take it down the hill. If you're unfamiliar with my neighborhood, the hill is exactly what it sounds like, because we were incredible at naming things. The hill was this one road in our neighborhood, with houses on one side and a ditch on the other, that sloped down, I don't know, probably like 5 degrees, maybe 10. But when you're riding down it on your bike, or rollerblades, or anything that has wheels, you start moving. So if we're gonna try taking this go-kart down that hill, it's gotta be top notch. So we got to work. We were absolute master craftsmen, and since we were kids, we were completely limited to whatever scraps we could find in order to build this thing. Nothing was new. We only had broken fence pieces and discarded plywood as we hammered away at our greatest invention yet. We worked for hours, days. That's the moon, by the way, but it was summertime, so we had all the time in the world to make this go-kart perfect. And after about a week and a half, the frame was finished. Yeah, it was about 3 sheets of plywood, which were not the same length at all, just nailed into each other. Wow, it's really coming together. And now, all we need are some wheels. First, we tried to attach bicycle wheels to the fortified exterior of this thing, but that didn't work at all. Until one of the kids was like, hey, what if we took the wheels off our skateboards and put those on the bottom? That's perfect, let's do it! But, no one wanted to give up their skateboard wheels. Understandably so. So it was up to me and Splash to take apart our $5 Walmart skateboards and put the wheels on the bottom of our contraption. And at first we thought, maybe we only have to take apart one of our skateboards, because 2 wheels might be enough, honestly. We could just hammer them in to make this frame one giant skateboard. So we took some broken pieces of a 4x4 fence post, and after a hefty amount of trial and error, we found the absolute best way to secure these skateboard wheels to the bottom. With nails. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. We put one on the front and one on the back of this, like, foot-long piece of fence post, and we thought, it's high time we test this bad boy out. So of course, the best way to test it out is by going down the driveway. So we set everything up, and Splash got in the cart, which was very precariously balanced on practically a foot-long skateboard. Splash is perched at the top of the driveway, and there is nothing but determination in his eyes. My man is confident in the stability of this thing. We did our mandatory safety checks, and he sent it down the driveway. It was working. Until he hit the cracks halfway down the concrete. Immediately, he lost control. The whole thing leaned hard to the side, only balancing on 2 skateboard wheels. And it was so wide that the entire side of the go-kart started scraping the ground, and Splash flew right into the grass as the walls of the go-kart collapsed. And we took this failure as a sign from above to keep going. So the next day, we started doing our best to hammer more nails, use more Gorilla Glue on the walls of this thing so it absolutely does not collapse again. We also decided to take apart our second $5 Walmart skateboard and put more wheels on the cart. Not like a car with, 4 wheels, one on each corner. No, what are you, dumb? That would be stupid. We nailed the other 2 wheels parallel with the back ones for maximum stability. We were honestly blown away by Mark 1's success, so why change what's already working? After another full day of hard work and reforging the beast, it's time for another driveway test. But don't worry, it was absolutely safer this time. So we wheeled the cart up the driveway a second time, and Splash got inside. He got himself set, and he launched himself down the driveway. It was looking really good. The new wheels we installed on the sides acted like training wheels, so he didn't veer off into the grass this time. And he breezed over the crack in the driveway. This time, he was doing it. He was picking up some serious speed. And he made it to the bottom of the driveway. And the walls immediately fell off again. Oh. Gosh darn it! Why must life be so cruel? This problem with keeping the walls attached is now the only thing standing between us and taking this thing down the hill. But we have no idea how to fix it. I mean, we've tried everything. Nails, more nails, nails going in at an angle. There's literally no other possible ways to secure the sides of this thing to the base. And a part of me was thinking, do we even need the walls? They're so big and bulky. They're kind of secured right now, but the moment this thing runs over a single sidewalk crack, they're done for. So maybe we should just take them off. Right then, one of our friend's dads saw us working. He apparently felt bad about how many times he watched the walls fall off of this thing. So he came out of his garage with some heavy machinery, a power drill. And he drilled this one singular support beam between our two walls on the front. It was the most impressive thing I had ever seen. What out-of-the-box thinking was this? A beam just for support? Genius! We thought it was so smart, in fact, that we nailed one more old fence scrap to the top. I know, I literally got a text from Harvard the same day, but I ignored it because this was way more important. At this point, I still thought the walls were a bit overkill, but I mean, they're secure now, so we might as well keep them on there. And, well, let's just say, I'm glad we kept them on there. One final driveway test before we take this sucker down the hill. Why? Because building this thing took way too long, and we were just ready to see some results. Also, to be honest, the more we worked on this thing, the more of a hazard it became. But it's okay, especially with the new wheels orientation. There's no way it tips over, right? Right? Somebody say right. Splash geared up for one final test run. He sends it down the driveway, and he made it. We couldn't believe it. The walls didn't fall off and he didn't get impaled. It was a huge success. It is the safest, most secure, most well-engineered piece of technology this neighborhood has ever seen. And now, it's hill ready. Finally. I've been waiting for this moment for what feels like years, but Splash wasn't quite done yet. It needs some finishing touches, so he got an old scrap piece of carpet we had lying on the floor of our garage, and he elegantly nailed that sucker into the floor of our glorious creation. And then, in a moment of creativity, he grabbed an old can of gold spray paint that my dad's been meaning to throw away for a while now, and he sprayed the numbers 121 on the sides of this go-kart with some sick flames on the front and back. But since these flames were golden, it kind of just looked like we painted baby chicks on the sides, which is definitely less cool as a kid, but arguably goes hard the older you get. Finally, we pushed our go-kart through the neighborhood and made our way to the hill. I was half expecting my neighbors to run out of their houses like, "Whoa, did you guys build this? It's incredible!" Oh, this old thing? Yeah, took us pretty long to build, like a week. "I'll buy it from you. I have $5, 10, 20. Listen, pal, she's just not for sale. Don't know what to tell you. I'll give you $30, please." Huh, you don't have $30. No one does. "I do, I swear. Mary, get the checkbook. I know it's all we have, but I need $30 now. It's an emergency." We made it to the base of the hill, and we start pushing, and pushing, and pushing, and we're pushing, and finally, we're pushing, and we're pushing, until we finally made it halfway, and then we start pushing, and we're still pushing, and after what felt like forever, we're still pushing. Finally, we made it to the top, the hill. And we are exhausted. And it's now that we started to realize we may only have one shot at this. Not because it'll fall apart, but because we don't really want to push it up the hill again. I get in the go-kart with Splash, and all I'm saying is it better not be too bumpy. Are we sure about this? Don't worry, boards, we're gonna be fine. Like it or not, this bad boy is what peak engineering looks like. Send us down. All of our friends get on the back of this thing, and I know we all of a sudden have a bunch of friends here. Listen, I didn't want to draw every single one of our friends this entire time, but just know that they're all here from the start, and they're gonna push us down the hill now, okay? Get over it. So they all get on the back of our go-kart, and they push us as hard as they can. All right, they all get on the back of the go-kart, and they push us as hard as they can down the hill. And we're actually starting to pick up some speed. We're going a little faster, and it hadn't really occurred to me until now that steering might be an issue. Because we start veering hard left and right. Splash immediately grabbed the sides of the go-kart, and he starts pulling the walls left and right as hard as we can, attempting to steer this thing. And it actually kind of worked out, since the boards on the sides were so incredibly engineered for this very occasion. When we pulled on them, the whole walls would lean to the side, making it actually semi-possible to steer. And also, very dangerous. We're gaining more and more speed by the second, and it's working. Our go-kart is working, and it hasn't fallen apart yet. We're going at terminal velocity because we started hearing more and more cracking sounds from the go-kart. Everything's creaking and snapping, and every time we used the walls to steer, it sounded like they were gonna break off. We're about 3/4 down the hill when all of a sudden, one of the wheels on the right side must have broken loose because the go-kart whips to the side, and we swing one of the hardest right turns of my life right into the curb on the side of the road. The go-kart flips onto its side, and me and Splash land on the walls of the go-kart as it starts sliding down the hill. We're holding on for dear life so we don't accidentally hit the pavement and slide under the go-kart. We finally slow to a stop, and Splash and I are okay. Miraculously, the walls saved us from sliding on the pavement, and we somehow didn't get impaled by any rusty nails. Thank God. I'm a little traumatized, but otherwise okay. And I am now so glad that we kept the walls on this thing, because we would have had some gravel in our knees and elbows after that fall. And the go-kart was somehow still intact, so we wheeled it to the top, and the other kids went down it like one more time. But I did not ride it again, and just watched, because I did not want to take any more chances. Which is funny I say that, because about a month or two later, I must have completely forgotten about how scared I was when the go-kart crashed. Because I had a little, accident on our bike ramps that we made 10 times more dangerous for absolutely no reason.
When I was about 9 years old, I lived on my bike, along with my brother and all the other neighborhood kids. Because, let me put it in perspective, phones didn't exist back then. All we had to entertain ourselves on summer break was dirt, that one kid with freckles who could do crazy tricks on the trampoline, and our bicycles. And we were masters on those things. And my parents knew that, because one Christmas morning we woke up to find the dopest bike ramp of all time in our living room. We wasted no time, set it up outside and jumped that thing till the break of 8 p.m. because it was bedtime soon. We took that sucker out almost every day and jumped our bikes on it. And every single day, we got better and better. We got to the point where we were catching so much air that we weren't even touching not only the middle part of the ramp, but the end as well. And this thing is sectional. So one day we decided that we were getting so good at jumping this ramp that we took the middle piece out. That's right, we were bad boys. No one ever told us it was legal to take that sucker out. We just did it. Of course, we pushed the remaining pieces together until they were touching because jumping that scared us to death. But after some encouragement from the other neighborhood kids, my brother Splash made the first jump. Soon enough, we were all catching so much air off the ramp that we thought it was too easy, and we wanted to make it harder. So we put the pieces back together, for safety of course, we're not animals, and we jumped that thing as high as we could and measured how far we got. When we got consistent measurements using the highly scientific method of eyeballing the cracks in the sidewalk, we took it apart and pushed the 2 ramps away from each other. Alright, who's gonna test it first? Nose goes! Come on, Splash! Yeah, man, it's so easy. We measured it and everything. If it's so easy, then why don't one of you guys do it? Nah, we're good back here. Yeah, no, I'm cool with watching. I had dairy this morning. I did it! Whoa! Yeah, that was awesome! Yeah! He did it. Splash is honestly kind of fearless, and if anyone was gonna try it first, it would be him. We took that ramp out almost every day after school, did a few warm-up jumps, and then pushed those things further and further out to, I'm not kidding you, the limit, where if it was any further, we would die. We did this almost every day until summer came. It was just another summer day. We went outside to start setting up the ramp, but as we were putting it together, one of the neighborhood kids started opening their garage. We were like, cool, they're probably just gonna grab their bike and come hang out. But they weren't just grabbing their bike. They started pulling out an even bigger and cooler ramp that made ours look like a speed bump. Apparently it was his birthday or something, and his parents saw how much fun we were having on our ramp that they decided to go out and get the freaking steroids version. It was getting a little more dangerous now, because this ramp launched you probably twice as high as the one we had and twice as far. But we were so used to separating the 3 parts of our ramp that it didn't take long before we started measuring where we were landing, more or less, given the nearest sidewalk crack, and started separating the 3 parts of this ramp. With our smaller ramp, you needed to get a decent amount of speed, and you could relax a little bit, take it for a leisurely jump. But with the steroids version, you had to give it your all on every single jump, or you didn't know what was gonna happen. We started going ham on this one. We would come out every single day during the summer and jump the big ramp, the small one, we separated the pieces, we went harder, we jumped farther, and just like anything, after a while, it became too easy. We started getting bored of jumping almost the entire length of the driveway. I was 9 years old, by the way, and we collectively decided we need to spice it up a bit. So we took the middle piece of the crazy ramp, which had legs on it, and flipped it upside down to create a spike pit. Again, I was 9! I was running around with a crowd almost 5 years older than me because of the age gap between me and my brother. So this is perfectly normal for some 14-year-olds to be doing, but I should have been inside on a couch somewhere watching Power Rangers or something. But I was out there jumping the ramp with these guys, because I don't see myself as younger than them. So I'm jumping the crap out of this thing. Every day for a summer, we would go out, set up the ramps, and just jump them all day, only taking breaks so we could eat something and go to the bathroom. We were getting so good at jumping not only both ramps, but the spike pit plus distance as well. And this is where I got a little bit too comfortable. I was so confident in my abilities of jumping these ramps that crashing wasn't even a concern in my brain. Because as much as I can remember, I don't think I ever had a serious wipeout on my bike before. Which is surprising, but hey, there's a first time for everything. So one morning, I woke up, slapped some Cinnamon Toast Crunch for breakfast because I wasn't an adult yet, so I could start my day with that and not get a splitting headache for the rest of the day because of it. And it was a slower morning. We did some chores. I think we even had to mow the lawn, so we didn't get outside to set up the ramp until about 11:30 a.m., which was pretty late for us. But once we were out, the usual neighborhood kids came out, and we all went over to the one kid's house who had the mega ramp. And I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty tired. I think I spoke too soon about having Cinnamon Toast Crunch for breakfast not affecting me. Plus, we had mowed the lawn, and the sun was so hot that day that it just zapped all my energy. But you don't really notice these things as a kid, so you don't make judgment calls like, hey, I'm pretty tired, maybe I shouldn't go off the insane bike ramp of death today. So everyone's jumping the ramp. We've upgraded already to the spike pit of doom. And of course, it's my turn. But that cinnamon is feeling kind of crunchy in my toast, so I'm like, I'll just hit the ramp while sitting down. Said literally no one who bikes in the history of ever. This is important because when you're sitting down, you can't really pull up on the handlebars in order to get any air. And I realized that the moment my wheel hit the ramp, which normally would be okay, but of course, we just had to spice it up by taking the middle section and flipping it over to create the spike pit of doom. I somehow missed the spike pit, but I didn't quite make it to the other side. I never in my life thought about what it would feel like if my heels touched the back of my head, but I know now! What's wrong, guys? You're missing some tooth, my dude. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I sprinted inside to see what happened, and sure enough, I was hideous. My mom called the dentist ASAP. Mr. Dentist, my son, he's hideous. Is there anything you can do to fix his face? Ma'am, do you have a photo of him? Ooh, ma'am, I'm a dentist, not a miracle worker. We got in the car and rushed to the dentist, hopefully to get my face fixed, when Splash said this. You know they're gonna need to even your tooth out, right? That means they're gonna have to shave it down back into the shape of a tooth. So you gotta think to yourself, would you rather have one super long skinny tooth or one super short and stubby one? And I looked in the mirror thinking, my life is never gonna be the same. But the chip isn't too bad, right? A long skinny one would look so weird. I guess I have to have a short and stubby tooth for the rest of my life. We finally got to the dentist. And they filled it in, good as new. They didn't need to shave anything down like Splash said. Like, what the heck? I don't even think he knew what he was saying. It was a lifetime worth of panic over nothing. The dentist said the filling would probably fall out in the next 2 to 3 years. It's been over a decade, but that sucker is still in there holding strong, knock on wood, and shoot a chipmunk. And you know what, speaking of shooting an innocent little woodland creature, I'm sure we've all heard, you can't get the Red Ryder BB gun.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
At some point in our lives. And you might be wondering, why'd you bring that up, Boards? Did you in fact ask for the Red Ryder BB gun one Christmas? And if so, did you shoot your eye out? And the answer to those questions is no to the first, and well, something like that to the second. I got traumatized, if that's what you're asking. It's Christmas of like 2013. I am but a wee lad. And while my other friends are getting cool airsoft gear and all that stuff, I wasn't interested in that as much. What I was interested in were some real weapons. That's right, the slingshot, baby. Improved with modern technology. Now, I don't know particularly why, but for whatever reason, I was obsessed with these things. They're just so cool. The simplicity of being able to propel a small projectile super far distances by only using some stretchy rubber thing is unmatched. And who knows, maybe the obsession partially came from the Easter egg Warzone story with the giant slingshot between 2 giant 10-foot poles, and it really stems from PTSD, but I don't know. Anyway, so that Christmas, I was super obsessed with getting a slingshot. I think I only had like 3 things on my Christmas list that year, and slingshot was at the top. So Christmas is only a few days away, and all I'm imagining is being in a super dope David and Goliath situation.
Help someone, please! I'm being mugged!
Yeah, I wanna wear the lipstick. Come on, get it. I am getting so pumped to get this thing and use these powers for good in order to save Millicent bystanders. But one day, while I was minding my own business, my parents came in the room and were like, hey, Boards? Yeah, what's up? So we saw your Christmas list, and we noticed you had a slingshot on there. Yep, yeah, and we're just wondering what you were planning to do with that. I don't know, probably shoot some people. Oh, okay. I was not expecting that. Well, what should we tell him? I don't know, that it's dangerous. He might not get it this year, maybe when he's a little bit older or something. Yeah, well, Boards, just know that, really a toss-up, you know? No one knows for sure what they're getting for Christmas, you know? Oh, yeah. No, that's okay. I know. If it's not there, then it's fine. Ooh, he took that surprisingly well. All right, champ. Well, we'll catch you on the flip side. Let us know if you need anything. What was that? I don't know. It's how the kids talk to each other these days. That doesn't mean that's the way you should talk these days. Why not? You don't usually talk like that. What, are you gonna put on a backwards hat and go skateboarding later? I don't know. I just might. Great. Go for it. That would look hilarious. All right, I will. Great. Fine. Go. Okay. You know, you could probably shoot your eye out with a slingshot. I know. If I get it, I swear I'll be safe. Plus, come on, you know me. I'm the epitome of intelligence. All right, see you later. I'm going to, run some errands. But I'll catch you on the flip side. I'm not gonna lie. That conversation did not boost my confidence that I would actually get a slingshot for Christmas. So the next day, I went to work in the garage. Whoa. Because I thought, since I'm probably not gonna get a real slingshot, I'm going to make one myself. That shouldn't be too difficult, right? After all, it's just a Y stick and some rubber boys. Like, how hard can it be? So I went out and scoured the land to find any resemblance of a Y stick I could find, and I found some good candidates. I grabbed some old rubber bands we had from inside, and my first thought was like, the stronger the stretchy bit, the farther and more powerful the slingshot will be, right? And that is technically true. So I tied like 20 rubber bands to this stick. But obviously, in hindsight, I think that would only work if, one, I am strong enough, and two, the stick is strong enough. This time, I used less rubber bands. Right off the bat, it seemed to work pretty well. I actually got a shot or two off with some pine cones. However, all we had were a few super old rubber bands, so, Ow! Last but not least, the final ditch effort, I grabbed one of those workout bands we had lying around the house. And the consistency and stretchiness was perfect. The stick I chose for this one was nice and strong. The only problem is, it is way too long. And the stick snapped. Hey, Mom? What? Can I use scissors to cut the resistance band workout thing we have? What? Scissors, Mom, come on. Oh, you mean that stretchy thing? No, you can't cut that. We use that. Well, wait, why'd you say what if you heard what I said the first time? What? Why did you say what if you heard what I said? Because I couldn't hear you. Yes, you clearly can't. Whatever. I went back to my room with my feet dragging. It's over. And since I was a kid with no responsibilities, I just drowned my sorrows in Lucky Charms and cartoons. At least these are magically delicious. Will you take that off? Nope. Finally, Christmas morning came, and not gonna lie, I was a little excited, but I kind of dragged my feet out of bed because, well, what's the point? I'm probably not getting a slingshot. Maybe it's for the better. Maybe I would have shot my eye out. We start opening presents. Splash is getting some pretty cool stuff, but I got... let's go. Some socks. Seriously? A new skateboard? Yes, because I can't lie, you have indeed been shredding. Yes! Hey, nice socks, Boards. Those will look great on you. Gee, thanks. Hey, what's behind the tree over there? Go ahead, go see what it is. I picked up the present, I opened it, and... oh my gosh! It is a full professional grade slingshot! Oh, thank you, 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 thank you! Of course. Yep, that's just some good old-fashioned parenting right there. Oh, but Board, seriously, listen. This thing is dangerous, okay? That thing that you have can be really dangerous, okay? Yeah, you need to make sure it doesn't backfire or front fire or catch on fire spontaneously. Just don't shoot your eye out, okay? Don't worry, guys, I won't. We opened the rest of our presents. I got some t-shirts. But my brother Splash, I am not making this up, asked for and received an entire block of great value sharp cheddar cheese. I wish I was kidding on that one. Well, we'll have more on that later. Maybe not in this video, but maybe another video. I can't unpack that right now. But regardless, the whole time, I just kept checking out my brand new Slingshot, just waiting for the opportunity to go outside and let that thing loose. Hey Boards, you know you can go out and use that now if you want. Really? Of course, have at it. But be safe. I went outside as fast as I could to the backyard with the new Slingshot and all the ammo. And at first, I'm not gonna lie to you, it was a little rough keeping the little metal ball in the launch pad. But eventually, I did it. And it was powerful. And honestly, kind of dangerous. Especially because we live in the suburbs. So I had better hit the fence or else. So I'm shooting at the fence. And not to toot my own horn or anything, but I'm kind of getting the hang of it. And eventually I get good enough grouping, sort of, that the fence was too easy. So I took a rock in my hand, I went up to the side of the fence, and I carved a really janky target into it. Still not sure if my parents knew I did that, but here we are. So I carved this sweet target in the fence, and I went back to get ready to shoot at this thing. I pulled this thing back hard, and... I got a bullseye on my first shot. I pulled it back again, and... not even close. And again... and again... and somehow, I'm getting worse. I must have shot at this thing 100 times, going back, collecting all the ammo, and trying again, but I didn't hit a single other bullseye with it. This was inarguably an absolute skill issue. So I decide, like a man, targets are for babies anyway. I can just imagine the targets. So I start shooting at everything in our backyard.
Good to catch up with you, man. I haven't seen you since Jonathan's bar mitzvah. Tell me, how the little seedling's doing? Has little Jackson started... oh my gosh! Oh my... Keith! Oh my goodness! Talk to me, man!
The fence, a random rock, not our house.
Sir, calm down. Just talk to me. Tell me slowly what happened. Yeah, so I was just catching up with my buddy Keith, and... why me?
I'm just goofing around, shooting tons of these metal balls everywhere. Because I've gotten really good at firing these things. It's just the aiming I have a little bit of a problem with. I keep shooting at everything in our backyard when all of a sudden... there's a crow or some type of bird flying super high in the sky. It was so high I couldn't quite tell what kind of bird it was, but whatever it was not close. And I'm like, nah, I'm gonna do it. Oh, no, there's no way. But my intrusive thoughts won. Immediately within a split second of shooting the slingshot, all of these thoughts flew like a train through my subconscious. What have I done? That metal ball is gonna sail right past that bird. It's bound to come down sometime. It's probably gonna break a window, maybe even kill someone. Stupid. Why did I shoot that? There's no way that I... There's no way. This bird exploded in a cloud of feathers. I haven't hit a bullseye since my first shot out here. How? How did this happen? I just stood there, completely frozen. I was absolutely petrified as to what I had just done. Now, I am become death, destroyer of birds. I just accidentally ended this bird's life because of my intrusive thoughts. Dude was probably on his way to bird work or something and just got obliterated because of me. I immediately threw the slingshot down on the ground and ran back inside and just sat there. All of my emotions were just completely frozen. I didn't know what to think, how to feel. I just ended the existence of an innocent little bird.
Boys, you left your slingshot outside. You gotta take care of that thing. You literally just got it.
Right, haha, sorry. I went outside to pick it up, and that night, I didn't sleep at all. The next day, the first thing I did that morning was go outside. Mom, I'm going outside to play with my slingshot.
Hope you have good aim.
Oh yeah, don't worry, I always make a bird die. Get a bullseye, a bullseye, a bird. A bird didn't die. I went out there with a shovel and a shoebox. A part of me was hoping he wouldn't be there when I came back out. Like he just woke up and flew away. You know, still alive. But he was right there where I left him on the grass. So I scooped him into the shoebox, dug way too small a hole because the ground was tough and I have noodle arms, and I buried it as best as I could right next to the house. I even had a little funeral where I apologized to the bird, his family, and God, and I went back inside. I slept a little better that night, knowing he had a proper going away party. And honestly, I'm just surprised my parents never found him halfway buried in the ground like that, because I did not do a good job. And they still don't know to this day, I think. Well, unless they're watching this. And you know, speaking of my parents not knowing where I am or what I'm doing, one day I'm at a friend's house with a couple of buddies, and they have this super sweet community pool right down the street from them. It's got a water slide, a really lazy underpaid teenage lifeguard, but most importantly, a huge, I'm talking 3-story high diving board. So their family is kind enough to take me to this super awesome community pool. And at this point in my life, I had never actually seen with my own eyes a real diving board. What I have seen are the Olympics, where people do crazy flips and stuff off that thing. So naturally, I want to try it. We get to the pool, and my friends rush to the cool water slide they have, but I am eyeballing this diving board. I still have to change though because, well, I'm not dressed for the pool yet. So I left my shoes with everyone's stuff, and I go to the little locker room thing they have. You know, the pool locker rooms that are super, super clean. The ones where you don't need shoes because you could eat off that floor. The locker rooms that you can't stand in one place for too long in, or else the floor will claim you as its own because the locker room sits comfortably in the center of the pool water and body fluid Venn diagram. Yeah, so anyway, I went in without shoes on because it's way easier to change pants that way. And needless to say, it was disgusting in there. And there was 100% chance I got some weird disease that day, but it didn't matter. I was so focused on that diving board. I was visualizing myself hitting the craziest flips of all time off that thing. I didn't even notice the soggy band-aid that crawled up my foot, or the fact that I already somehow had a short curly hair in my mouth. Literally nothing else mattered. I was gonna do the most insane trick off that diving board and wow every single person at that pool. Hey kid, we don't normally give awards to random pool goers, but we saw your absolutely bodacious megalodonkus triple Tonka truck you did, and we've decided to give you this check for $1 million bajillion. Oh yeah, I was ready to make my dream a reality. But I I had to leave the locker room first. Legitimately, this is not the point of the story, but it's worth mentioning because I remember so vividly how harshly that floor clung to my bare feet. It was holding on tighter than that one ceiling fan at your grandmother's house. And since I didn't have my shoes, my bare grippers were somehow intertwined with the locker room floor. I won't bore you with the details on how I escaped, but the point is, I got out of there, and I didn't even care. My mind was solely on that X Games mode diving board. As I got in line, my friends were like, "Dude, you coming to the slide?" And I was like, "Nah, I'm just doing the diving board, you know, like an adult." I was super confident because the guys on the Olympics made it seem so easy. How hard could it possibly be? It's like a trampoline over water, so A, there's no chance of hurting yourself because it's water. 2, this thing probably bounces you so high. And D, all I gotta do is tuck. This is gonna be so easy. One after another, kids went off the diving board, just jumping straight off, no flips or anything. And I was like, psh, bunch of wusses. And finally, it was my turn to climb the ladder. Immediately, everything in my brain just went completely out the window. All the hotshot flips just dissolved from my mind as I started climbing this enormous ladder. It's like when you're in line to order food somewhere as a little kid and your mom leaves for just a minute to go do something and you get up to the front of the line and the cashier's looking at you and you have no idea what you're doing, so you start crying. And that's what this experience was like, because I was thinking so much about how easy the flips were gonna be and how cool I was gonna look, but I didn't actually think at all of how I was gonna do these flips and what jumping off this 3-story diving board would feel like. In all honesty, the diving board was probably like 8 feet high, but as an 11-year-old, it felt like Mount Vesuvius, so I was peeing my pants. I'm up there, I can see the whole park, my house, and a couple of the 7 wonders. And I'm getting a little nervous, but there's a ton of kids in line behind me ready to jump off this thing, so I had to do something, and I couldn't just jump off because I didn't want to look like a little baby. So I slowly started moving towards the edge of the diving board. I swallowed my fear, and I geared up for the biggest front flip of my entire life. I started booking it to the end of the diving board as fast as I could. I don't know if you've ever been on a diving board, but you're not supposed to run and jump off like that because it bends. So I got real unstable real quick. I ended up falling forward, scraping my ankle on the edge of the board, and absolutely flopping into the water. It wasn't quite a belly flop, but it wasn't pretty either. I'm getting out of the pool, trying to look tough, and I start limping over to where our stuff was at. Tried to avoid the lifeguard because I thought if he saw my ankle, he wouldn't let me get back in the water. So I'm sneaking past him. Hey kid, no running. Yeah, the lifeguard didn't care at all. But this was a good thing though, because I ain't no quitter. That means I could try as many times as I wanted and the lifeguard wouldn't care if I hurt myself. Yeah, in hindsight, I was a little confused, but I got spirit. Don't ever try dumb stuff like this, especially if the only person who's in charge doesn't care. Anyway, I splashed my face with the kiddie pool water. That way people wouldn't know I'd been crying. They would just think my face is wet, right? I went back to the diving board. This time, before getting in line, I studied the kids that went before me. I was looking at what made some kids launch higher than others. I studied how their feet were positioned when they jumped off. And finally, after some good prepping, I got back in line. And I started to visualize how it would look like from up there, what the board would feel like. Because it wasn't about the glory of Rome anymore. It was about proving to myself that I could do it. I climbed up the ladder for what seemed like ages. When I finally reached the top, I started working up the courage to go towards the end of the diving board. This time, instead of just sprinting, I stood on the end, I gave it a proper bounce, and I made it. I mean, it wasn't pretty, but I made it. And I know it was just a measly front flip, but I felt like I could do anything. I went off the diving board a few more times after that, and I got better with every single flip. I was starting to land perfectly in the water every time. I was getting a little too confident. And right when I was really feeling like the big cheese, my friend's dad starts calling me over from his sun chair. He had a super good view of the pool, so I was sure he saw my front flip. Sure enough, as I walked towards him, he was like, "I saw your front flip." I knew it. And I was like, oh, that was nothing. And he was like, oh yeah? Yeah, I could do those in my sleep now. You know, because I had that kid confidence at that point. Kids are so confident, they'll do something one time and they'll say they're a professional at it. They'll say whatever's on their mind at any given moment. You want someone to break the world record for how many foldable chairs can be carried across the room at church? Ask a kid. You want an honest opinion on do these pants make you look fat? Ask a kid. Anyway, so I was like, yeah, that front flip was so easy, why? And he was like, so you're saying you want a challenge? Yeah, I can do anything. Do you know who you're talking to? And he was like, okay, so you can do the front flip, right? Easy. Right, so this time, you should try to over-rotate, miss your feet, and do a dive. Almost like a double? Yeah. I know to some of you guys who did gymnastics or even competitive diving or anything, you're like, a front flip dive is literally the most basic move on the planet. Great, nice. Yeah, the view's probably a little foggy from your high horse up there, so you should probably step down because the oxygen's thin. You're probably getting a little lightheaded and forgetting that I was 11. I had never attempted to do a double front flip in my life, and any sort of double flip seemed physically impossible at that time. But I mean, I wasn't about to back down from a challenge. Are you kidding? Everyone knows when you're a kid and someone challenges you to do something, it is life or death that you give it your best shot. So I was like, okay. And I started marching right up to that diving board. There wasn't a line at this point, so I didn't really have time to visualize, but Leo from the Ninja Turtles once said on Saturday morning cartoons that the only way to learn is by doing. And then he sliced a piece of pizza in half or something. So there was no way I was gonna let this man and Leonardo down. So I started climbing the ladder, and it seemed slightly less tall this time. I was beginning to believe, and I put all my training from my previous front flips into practice. I came to the diving board. Since I was a pro at this point, I didn't hesitate. I jumped into the diving board strong, and I pulled the highest front flip I've ever done. It was happening. I was doing it. Now I just need to open up at the perfect time and... To this day, that first try was one of the hardest belly flops I have ever done. I saw red when I hit the water because not only was I high in the air off the diving board, but I was also rotating forward, which made the smack 10 times worse. It was so bad that the lifeguard actually looked up at me and was like, "You okay?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm awesome." But I was not, in fact. Awesome. I went back to my friend's dad and he was like, "Dude, nice." And he gave me a high five. And then he was like, "You almost had it. This time, you just gotta let yourself roll forward just a little bit more into the dive." And I was like, duh, of course. So before the pain even wore off, I got back in line at the diving board. And before I knew it, I was at the top again, looking at France since I could see it from up there. I started thinking, roll forward, roll forward, roll forward. I got this. I went up to the edge, I got the biggest jump I could again, and somehow I smacked almost harder than the first time. And it hurt twice as bad because I hadn't even recovered yet from the first flop. But I tell you, I was stubborn. I'm not kidding you when I say I tried 4 more times after that. And I'm also not kidding when I tell you I smacked 4 more times after that. And guess what? It was the same spot on my stomach and chest, over and over and over again. But I was determined to get this move down. I only paused after 4 attempts because I genuinely started not being able to see straight. So for the first time in my 11-year-old life, I sat in a sun chair next to a pool instead of playing in it. First of all, I was in immeasurable pain.
And second of all, sitting there was boring as heck. I have no idea how moms and teenagers who think they're adults can just sit next to any body of water and just tan, but that's besides the point. I legit had to sit there for like 15 minutes just letting the pain calm down. And my torso was redder than a boiled lobster. But I wasn't about to give up. So I started to get up and no. The pain was still really bad. So I waited like 5 minutes and then I started to get up and the pain was still ever present, but this time it was bearable. I was basically on 1 HP and I knew if I took one more hit from that pool in the same spot, I was done for. So I started walking up to the diving board. And by this time, everyone was watching. The lifeguard, all the teenagers who think they're adults suntanning, and most importantly, my friend's dad, who to be honest, was very encouraging, but might have enjoyed watching me smack over and over, but none of that mattered anymore. This was between me and the pool, and I had a score to settle. So finally, I mustered up all the strength I had left. And one last time, I'd put more than everything I had into that diving board. I got the biggest air out of any of my flips yet, and I tucked as hard as I could, and this time, that was it. I was done. I might have even thrown up afterward because the pain was so bad, but it's hard to remember. I went home defeated that day, and I couldn't sleep on my stomach for a week. But you know how I said I'm not a quitter? Well, you'll be happy to know that years later, when I was 16, I was at this place called Art Sports in Colorado. And they have this cool trampoline thing that launches you into a foam pit. And it was there that I learned how to not only do a front flip dive, but also a double front flip and even the beginnings of a triple. The moral of the story is don't ever give up on something. Only put it on hold till you can come back stronger. Unless, of course, that thing is an 11-foot alligator. Now you're probably wondering, boards, why on earth would you be close enough to an alligator for it to attack you in the first place? And that is a fantastic question. It's probably because it wasn't just me getting close to it, it was my whole family. And I gotta say, getting attacked by an alligator kinda ruins the vibes for the rest of the vacation. Anyway, let me throw it back for you real quick. So it's me, my brother, and my parents. And you remember how I said that one time that my family doesn't usually take bougie vacations? Well, this isn't one of those times. This was just gonna be a fun trip where we were gonna visit family for a few weeks during the summer. But the only problem is, they all live in Florida. We all know what goes down in Florida. Yes, top Florida man stories in April. An intoxicated Florida man was found sitting naked in a garbage can in Tampa and argued with the police that he had the right to be there. Or how about this one? A 33-year-old Florida man tries to steal $30,000 worth of Pokemon cards, but was apprehended by MMA coaches. Yeah, something tells me right off the bat this may not be as relaxing as we hope. So we get there, we go to a Wendy's. Everybody get on the ground and put the burgers in the bag now! We go to an Arby's. Y'all gonna order? We skipped food and went straight to my grandparents' house to visit them. And my dad's sitting there reminiscing about his old college days since he went to the University of Florida right down the road. And he drops some dad lore that piques my interest. Yeah, whenever I was walking to school, I basically had to walk right past the Gator Lake just about every day. Whoa, wait, hold on. The what? Oh, I haven't told you? Oh yeah, Lake Alice. There were dozens of gators in that thing 24/7. There's probably a ton in there right now. I'm driving! You're 12. Dad, take us there. So we all pile in the car and we drive about 5 minutes down the road to this eerie looking lake. Well, it looked pretty normal for a Florida lake, but after hearing some more stories my dad told, we knew what lay beneath those murky waters. We got out and we were walking around, admiring the views, but the whole time we were all secretly eyeballing the surface, just waiting to see some gator eyes poking out. Over there! Nah, that's just two turtles. Oh, there! Nah, that's just a piece of driftwood. Oh my gosh, that one's huge! Nah, that's just a Florida dude doing a backstroke. We looked around for like 15 minutes, nothing. My brother even threw sticks in the water, so I'd get excited and think something moved. Ha! Boards, wait, stop. Shut up, dude. You're not gonna get me again. Dude, don't move. Boards, back up slowly. Honestly, it was my fault in the first place for walking so obliviously on the shoreline of a notable gator lake. Oh, there you go. Hey, you guys found one. Yeah, there's probably a lot more under there too, but this guy's got his eyes out. Hey, Splash, what are you doing? Just getting a picture of my new iPod Touch. Splash, don't get too close. Okay, hold on. Hey, it's me. Before we continue, I think it's important to note two things. These modern day prehistoric dinosaurs can swim at 20 miles an hour, and they've been observed to be able to sprint on dry land at a top speed of 35 miles an hour. So basically, the only chance you have at beating one of these things in a triathlon is during the biking segment. And two, on top of that, if you're thinking you're safe from one of these things by climbing a tree, think again. These suckers climb trees. If I had known that before watching my brother inch up to this thing until he was about 3 feet from its eyes, I would have said something. But he's right. Snapchat is more important. Okay, Splash, you got it. Now, come on, get away from there. Okay, hold on. No, Splash, I think that's enough. Okay, 1 second. Let me just take one more. I was paralyzed with fear. Its eyes made it look way smaller in the water. But when this thing jumped out, I saw that it was an 11-foot gator. Both my fight and my flight instincts stopped working altogether, and I thought, this is it. This is where I watch Splash die. And then, I'm next. Wait a minute. Wait, where's... Oh. I am not kidding you. By the time I looked over, my mom was 1/4 mile away and still running. She didn't look back. My mom left all 3 of us over here to die at the hands of this alligator. I don't know why it didn't attack us, but it sure as beans asserted its dominance. Someone is absolutely looking out for us up there, despite our moronic decisions. We caught up with my mom when she finally looked back and realized she left us there, but the car ride back was pretty awkward. I just assumed that you all would have the common sense to run when a 10-foot gator starts attacking you. To put it in perspective, I texted my dad because I needed to remember what the name of the lake was, and 2 seconds later my mom texted me this. No remorse. So according to my mom, whenever you encounter wild animals like this, always bring someone slower than you, even if that person is your own child. I'm just kidding, Mom. You know we love you. But speaking of fight or flight, I've never had those instincts kick in faster than when I found myself in the egg version of Warzone. So when I was a kid, some family friends of ours hosted an Easter Sunday party every few years. And it was super cool. They had all sorts of games, they gave out prizes, and each year they kind of felt like they had to outdo whatever they did last year. They started with some simple Easter egg hunts, but year after year, the hunts got more elaborate. I'm talking climbing roofs and crawling through tunneling trenches elaborate. But as the host family's kids got older, the games got more violent. They went from elaborate Easter egg hunts to playing really physical games like Red Rover. It also doesn't help that because my brother's 5 years older than me, a lot of his friends are by default also my friends. Because in my weird in-between age, it's either them or the actual babies. So I usually chose to hang out with them, which is all fine and dandy until the host family starts slowly upgrading in violence with their games every year. They still gave out some cool prizes, but several years down the road, especially seeing as I was a lot smaller than these guys, I started to wonder if the prizes were even worth it anymore. What am I talking about? Do you see that? Who am I kidding? This is awesome. So Easter rolls around one year and I'm ready to risk it all for about $3 worth of sick prizes. We show up, I get out of the car ready for anything, but nothing could have prepared me for what was about to happen. We walk in, everyone's making small talk and playing games, but I'm there for one reason, and that ain't to socialize. Finally, the host gets up and they're like, "Who's ready to play some games?" I've got good news and bad news. The bad news is someone got real hurt last year playing Red Rover. So we needed to mellow out a bit this year with the physical contact games. So we've devised a new game. Gosh, I hope it's not violent. That's even more violent. If you'll follow me to the backyard. We all head out to the porch and he's like, "Behold." I don't know what everyone else thought, but I was definitely looking at a battleground. There were trenches, walls, chicken wire, you name it. And then up on a hill in the distance was this weird looking thing, and I couldn't quite tell what it was. The object of this game, demonstrated by my violent male children, is much like an Easter egg hunt, where the goal is you simply must gather as many eggs as possible. However, you won't be going and looking for these eggs. Oh no. They will be coming to you. Show them. The catch is, some of these eggs are hard-boiled so they won't break. Easier to catch, but more expensive hospital bills. And some of them are raw, straight out the chicken. And the team with the most eggs at the end, and the least amount of broken bones, wins! Huh? I thought the reason they were changing up the games is because people got hurt last year. But this seems 1000% more intense. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what my freaking problem was, but that fuzzy worm on a string, for whatever reason, I felt like I had to have it. Look at it, it's so tantalizing for some reason, and just within reach. Everyone pick a teammate and grab a blanket. Not you, sport. You're too young for this. You see those big, strong, mature high schoolers? There's no way you could compete with them. And there goes my chance. Darn these new rules that prevent unnecessary injury. If I want to risk it all over a fuzzy worm on a string, by golly, let me do it. Go get one of the cookies I baked inside, okay? I put nuts in them, so you know they're fabulous. So I got a raisin and almond gluten-free dirt cookie, and I thought I might as well watch the battle that was about to take place. Hey, I don't have a partner. You snooze, you lose, bro. Wait, where's Boards? Wasn't he here? Yo, Boards, there you are. Come on, get down here. Let's go win this thing. Yes! I had to put my cookie down, if you can even call it that, and then I ran down to partner up with this guy, Jake. And Jake is super cool. We grab our blanket, and we're getting super pumped. It's freaking game time, baby. I'm back in the running for fuzzy worm on a string. We walk out in the battleground and stretch out our blankets. And it's right then that it hits me. Not literally, but metaphorically. It just occurs to me that they've rigged this insane slingshot on the top of a hill with like 10-foot high poles. They're pulling this thing so far back, they need a rope just to pull it down and get an egg on the inside. The rough terminal velocity of an egg is 75 miles an hour. A skilled slingshot can launch a small stone about 70 meters per second, which equates to around 156 miles per hour, which is over double terminal velocity. And I found a page on Reddit that says a ridiculously hard-boiled egg would only need to be going about 102 miles an hour to fracture a human skull. That being said, there are two factors that still need to be considered. That's 156 miles an hour almost right out the slingshot. So I need to be standing anywhere between point blank and 20 feet in order for it to be wise for me to start constructing a will. And they're on a hill easily over 150 feet away, which brings me to factor 2, which is that this is no ordinary slingshot. It is a torture machine of death that, as I said, have 10-foot tall poles on each side, and they're pulling it back much farther than your average slingshot. Now, considering wind resistance, distance, and bullet drop, when it's all said and done, by the time an egg reaches us in the trenches, it shouldn't be going more than about 80 70 to 85 miles an hour. And that's hoping and praying that they're launching eggs upwards instead of straight towards us, which would force each egg, in theory, to hit not much more than terminal velocity on its way down. That being said, I'm still not going to be leading with my head in most cases because 75 miles an hour isn't much less than 102 miles an hour, which is skull-breaking speed realistically. And I don't have a helmet, none of us do. I think that this is a super fun game on paper. Oh yeah, let's shoot eggs at people and they gotta catch them in blankets like giant egg toss. But as we're gearing up, I'm starting to think that the moment this game starts, we might all be regretting this decision. This was just a feeling in my gut telling me something was wrong. Run. But all the big 16-year-olds are there, and they're actual adults. So if they're not scared, then I shouldn't be either. Let the games begin. We start running around frantically, and I'm not sure when, but somewhere in the mix, we stopped running towards the eggs and started running away from them. It turned so quick from catch as many eggs as you can to take cover. If we're lucky, we'll only have a few casualties. I remember vividly running towards the trench and turning around to see what this other team was doing. And one of these dudes sees an egg hitting terminal velocity heading straight towards him, and he turns to run, only to get hit right between the shoulder blades and his C7 vertebrae. It was at that moment that I looked over at Jake. Surely he had things under control, and he looked at me like a disabled guinea pig looking at an incoming hawk. When I first laid eyes on this war zone map in the backyard, I thought, isn't that a bit dangerous? But upon diving into this bunker, I was just glad we had a little bit of cover from this absolute 50 cal on the top of a mountain. I peeked over the edge just to see that the other teams weren't so lucky. It legit felt like an active war zone. Right then, I remember what brought me here in the first place. And I'm like, Jake, we gotta go back out there. Dude, what? Are you crazy? Maybe, but think of the prizes, Jake. Are you sure? I've never been more sure about anything in my whole life. All right, man, lead the way, said the 16-year-old to the 11-year-old right before going into an active war zone. Boards, talk to me. That's what I get for trying to be brave, huh? Don't say that. Stay with me. This is all my fault. I just wanted fuzzy worm on a string. Promise me something, Jake. Anything. Tell my family I love them. And tell my brother it was me that ate all of his Halloween candy. No. Huh? You tell him yourself. Huh? Apparently, they ran out of ammo with the 50 cal, and immediately the host was like, "Everyone inside to see who won!" And we're like, yeah, all right. We all go inside, bruised, broken, and defeated. And the host is like, all right, how many did y'all get? Who got the most eggs? Anyone? What? Jake? There was no way. Did we actually catch one in all that commotion? I can't believe that. Yeah, we got two. Looks like we have a winner. Yeah. Okay, so we may or may not have lost the battle. We definitely didn't win, but this still has a happy ending. Did I eventually get my hands on fuzzy worm on a string several years later? Maybe. Was I disappointed that it was literally just a worm on a string and it wasn't fun at all? A little. Never meet your heroes, I guess. Unless that hero, of course, is my dad. Even though my dad has gotten pulled over a few times. But it's always been for the occasional going a few miles over the speed limit. Nothing crazy. Except for the time we both almost got arrested in the middle of the night for Grand Theft Auto and street racing. So it's a Saturday night, like 7:30 p.m., right? I'm on my 3rd bowl of cereal and my 10th episode of Power Rangers Dino Thunder, when all of a sudden, my dad comes out of nowhere, and he's like, "We're leaving in 2 minutes, you ready?" And I'm like, I had completely forgotten. Like a week ago, he told me I was gonna come with him to this work thing he had, which was 2 hours away from us in Denver. You know how sometimes parents just volunteer you for side quests that you've never asked for? Yeah, this was one of those times. But I don't really mind. I enjoy a good night drive, especially because I thought there's a chance I could get a McDonald's burger out of it or something. So I rush to put on my pants and we get in the car. And this thing still relatively has a new car smell because it was a pretty nice newer Honda. And the thing could move. Because remember when I said it's about a 2-hour drive from our place to Denver? Yeah, well, I say the word about because my dad can normally get to these places a lot faster than that. Legally, of course. If you remove speed limits. But it's already like 7:45 p.m. and he's got places to be. So we absolutely... I don't know exactly how fast we got there because I kind of blacked out midway through, but let me tell you, it was not 2 hours. But like I said, my dad's a safe driver. He's just a little fast sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. Which is normally fine, but in my opinion, speeding doesn't make any sense. Because if you happen to get pulled over because it's illegal, instead of shaving a few minutes off your drive, you add sometimes an hour to it. Plus jail time. Oh yeah, and on top of that, you're endangering lives. So I personally don't speed, and I definitely didn't back then because I was like 13, so I couldn't even if I wanted to. But anyway, it's like an hour into my dad's work thing. He's out here meeting with people about something probably important, big stonks. He's almost done, but between his meeting and the drive time, it's almost 10 p.m. So I'm just hanging out thinking, dang. At this rate, we might not get home till after midnight. Of course, my dad's gonna do his best to, shorten that time frame, but like I said before, if he goes just a little too fast, it could end up being a long night. I'm just really hoping I can get a burger out of this, because that would make it all worth it. My dad finally finishes up. I'm stoked to head home, so we get in the car and he's like, "I'm kinda hungry. You hungry?" Si, senor. So we head over to good old Mickey D's. I get my freaking burger. And it's shaping out to be a pretty good night. Right after we get food, my dad looks at the clock and he's like, "Geez, it's almost 10:30. We gotta get home." We start booking it down the interstate. And this was back before Colorado had a population of almost 6 million, so there was not a soul on the highway as we were speeding down it. And I'm probably being a bit dramatic, it just felt insanely fast because we were the only ones on the road. But I reckon he was going just a few over the speed limit, because we even passed a cop on the highway, so my dad wasn't going that fast because we didn't even get pulled over. Yet. So finally, we get off the highway, we're on our way home, about 20 minutes from our house, we're both exhausted, and we're on a pretty big road. Speed limit's probably 65. But up in the distance, there's a light. And the light turns green. Of course, my dad is like, "Oh man, we're never gonna make this light." But it's almost midnight. So he speeds up a little to try to make this light. Again, no one's on the road, it's just us. I do not condone this behavior, I'm just letting you know under the circumstances, everyone was safe. He just starts speeding up a little more, and a little more. And I'm thinking we might as well cut our losses because there's no way we're gonna make this light. And sure enough, yep, I figured. But he's still going. I don't think we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it, it'll be fine.
See? Told you it was fun. Oh, man. This cop comes out of nowhere. And I'm thinking, we're going to jail. This is it. I'm too young to be in prison for the rest of my life. Right then I heard the door slam, and we got blinded by a flashlight. This lady cop comes up to our door and leans over like, "You know why I pulled you over?" And my dad's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry. I was speeding a little bit. I'm just tired. It's late, and I just want to get me and my kid home." And this lady just looks at us and doesn't say anything. She starts looking us up and down, like to see if our story checks out. As if she thinks my dad and I, a 13-year-old, are some maniacal criminals bent on running red lights and speeding after 11 p.m. on weekends or something. Which I'm not, so it's okay. I think. Maybe I am illegal. Alright, it checks out. I can see you two are just in a hurry to get home tonight. You honestly weren't even driving too recklessly. The real reason I pulled you over is because we got a bunch of calls about street racers in this area tonight. Some pretty insane, and we've been trying to catch them all night, especially because a few of them are driving some pretty expensive stolen cars. Could you imagine if I arrested you guys for Grand Theft Auto by mistake? Oh, I would never hear the end of it. But anyway, you two be safe getting home. No need to... She absolutely books it back to her police car, and she turns around like, "You guys can go home!" And she took off after this guy. My dad and I just looked at each other like, well, she didn't give us a ticket or anything. W. So we drove home and my dad didn't speed at all. Mostly. Mainly because it's not safe and it's dumb, and don't do it because it doesn't make sense, and if you do the math, you only save like half a minute on any given 20-minute drive, which is not worth your life or anyone else's life. But you know what else is not worth your life? Sacrificing safety for a cheap thrill on an insanely sketchy water park. Even though water parks are the essence of childhood. Mainly because all the childs left their essences all throughout the pool. But anyway, ever since I was a kid, I have loved water. I love swimming, water slides, water sports, water parks, water in general. What I don't like are sketchy attractions at a sketchy water park where I legitimately almost fell out of a 4-story tall open water slide. Normally though, I love water parks. But I, unfortunately, live in the mostly desert state of Colorado. Water parks aren't really the selling point of living here. Sure, there's the occasional lake, but it's all about the mountains and the hiking and the paper-thin air. Can't get enough of breathing nothing and getting winded every time I walk up one flight of stairs. Anyway, basically when you think of water parks and summer pool days, you think of Florida or something, not Colorado. And when I was younger, that made me so sad because all I wanted to do every summer was have fun pool days or go on a water slide. So one Thursday afternoon, several years ago, I remember it being perhaps one of the hottest days ever recorded. I remember I even put ice bags under my armpits just so I could sit on the couch without soaking through it. And all I could think about was going to a water park. It was literally so hot that my brother and I cracked an egg on the sidewalk, and it was a full sunny side up in like 20 minutes. Well, I was sweating. But there are no water parks in Colorado. Or so I thought. Right when the day was at its hottest, my mom was like, "Hey, I heard you sulking in the corner earlier," but the only words I could make out were, "That's the last time I try hot wings from the Dollar Tree," and water park. So, you want to go to Waterworld this weekend? Waterworld? Yeah, the water park. Water park? Here in Colorado? Yeah, I think it'd be fun. We can all go, have a good time. It's been so hot recently. Like the other day I was out for a walk and it was just, the sun was blazing. Boards? Boards! Huh? What's up? I was just asking if your foot rash has gotten any better. They don't need to know about that. Who doesn't need to know? Nobody else is here. Who are you looking at? Nobody. So Saturday finally came, and I was so stoked to finally go to a summer water park. Mainly because my last adventure at a water park made me experience some of the worst pain I've ever had in my entire life. Anyway, I was so excited. My first time at a water park in years. Here we go. I can't wait. Here it comes. Almost there. This is it. Ooh. Okay, don't get me wrong. Super grateful my parents took us to a water park. But I don't think Colorado has the best selection of water attractions. But I was young, I didn't care too much at that time. However, now that I'm older, the rickety slides, the loose bolts, rusty hinges, and the horrendous bathrooms would have definitely been a red flag. The only reason it wasn't at the time was because Big Sun cook egg on sidewalk, so water good. Not only that, but I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie. And so is Splash. And there were 3 massive water slides that towered over the rest of the entire park. They were 4 stories tall, and the best part was, they were open. Like a half pipe, which is super fun and cool and not dangerous at all. So naturally, there was no way I was gonna leave without trying those bad boys. Oh yeah, I heard the one in the middle is crazy, and the one on the left is for babies. Middle one it is. So we did some other rides, but the whole time I was eyeballing biggest Megalodontus over there. The other rides were cool, and the food was really bad. Finally, it was time to hit the big kahuna. And you already know I'm hitting the biggest, most insane slide in the middle first. My brother Splash and I started making our way up the steps. But of course, the line was moving really slowly. Even all the way down there, we could hear people yelling at the top. I can't do that. Oh my gosh, it's so high. Just go, lady, you're holding up the line. Bro, just go back down the stairs. Basically, it was taking 8 times as long for the line to move because people were chickening out when they got to the top. Pfft, wusses. It's like being in the line at a restaurant and the person in front of you finally gets the counter and is like, can I get a... Thankfully, the lifeguard saw that anyone chickening out was holding up the line, so he started waving the next person in line to go down the slide, or he would try to send the absolute piece of wet lettuce back down the windy staircase. So heck yeah, the line started moving faster. But as we got higher, the structural integrity started getting less integrity-full. And I'm not gonna lie, pipes were looking a little rusted, and the stairs were feeling a bit rickety. Not to mention all the drops of water falling from the top of the tower. It's not normally a calming sentiment when the water slides are leaking. If I want to go down a water slide 4 stories high, I want it to be freaking solid. As we made our way up the stairs, it occurred to me that this wasn't the first time I had seen all of this. It was just the first time I've noticed, mainly because we were so high up and it was hard to ignore. But looking back, almost every ride we went on so far had some really sketchy aspects. I was just too distracted to notice. It started making me question a bit how structurally sound all of these slides are. Like, I'm all for have fun time, go down big slide, but no die. As we reached the final flight of stairs, the wind picked up. Not only was it getting colder, but the tower started swaying. I'm telling you right now, if I did something like this now, I would have gone right back down the stairs. I don't care, I have a wife at home. A lot of you out there are probably like, oh, you're such a baby, like as if anything could actually go wrong. Oh wait, hold on, I actually have 2 words for that. Ocean Gate Submarine. Anything could happen. If that thing passed inspection for passenger travel while it was being modulated by a wireless Xbox 360 controller, for all I know, this sucker could be held together with marshmallows and toothpicks. I was always really bad at those for some reason. Anyway, so we made it to the top of this rickety slide with only a few people left in front of us. No, I can't do it. Come on, babe, you have to. No, I can't. Do you see how high we are? Ah. All right, lady, if you're not gonna go, then no, I'm gonna do it. You got it, babe. Nope, you're crazy if you think I'm doing that. Look, ma'am, please just go back down the stairs. Will you shut up? I'm gonna do it. Women, am I right? What did you just say to me? I said you're holding up the line, lady. Come on. Hey, babe, if you don't want to go, that's totally okay. We're holding up the line and No, are you crazy? I'm not backing down from this. Like she hasn't backed down 3 other times in the past 5 minutes. All right, here we go. I'm gonna do it. Here it is. It's time. I'm about to go. I can't. The tower swayed a little bit less after she went down. All right, your turn. It's time. It felt like I could see the whole world from up there. And I now kind of see why that lady was so scared. But I didn't want to hold up the line. So, here we go. 3, 2, 1. That was exhilarating. One of the most intense feelings that I think I've ever... Yeah, so it turns out I was totally wrong. The middle one isn't the craziest slide up there. It's actually the one on the left. When Splash finally came down, I was like, dude, this isn't the craziest one. I just overheard that it's that one. So after regaining the bones in our legs, we reapplied sunscreen, which it was far too late for, and we started making our way back up the tower. This time, while waiting in line, I looked up, and I realized something. There was a separate line for the crazy slide on the right. How did I not notice this? So we sprinted up the side, and we got in the crazy line, which only had like 5 people in it. And luckily, these dudes seemed like veterans. You don't get in this slide unless you're a man. So while all the other people were chickening out on the middle slide, this line was moving fast, and we were getting to the front quick. As I was mentally preparing, I remembered how fun the middle slide was, and I thought to myself, I definitely want to do that slide at least one last time. Come on, you're up! I noticed as I got there that the slide in the middle shot out quite a ways, more than the other slides, but this one we were about to go on went straight down. I couldn't even see the rest of it until it was at the ground. It was now or never. I did the middle line, and it was great. So how bad could this one be? Hey, you gotta cross your legs before you... Alrighty. This one is insane. It was almost a straight 90-degree drop. The only thing was, it was really short. I honestly thought the middle one was more fun just because it lasted longer. Right as I was about to go again, my mom was like, hey, boards, pack up, it's time to go. And I was like, wait, can I go down just one more time on the middle slide? All right, make it super quick because the park closes in 30 minutes. Word of advice, when you're doing almost anything, playing a sport or having fun at a sketchy water park, for example, never say, just one more, last one, and then we're done. Because 7 times out of 10, that last one is where something goes wrong. So I sprinted back up to the tower, and since the park was closing soon, there was no line. I was so focused on making this last run count that I had completely forgotten about the rickety stairs, the rusty hinges, and the leaky everything. I made it to the top, and I was alone. I could feel the tower gently swaying in the breeze, but I chose to ignore it because you can't live in fear. Oh yeah, I got my wife to write that because I have terrible handwriting. Finally, I went up to the slide one last time. Now the middle slide was fun the last time, but I honestly felt like it needed something. It was a little bit slow at the beginning, and that wasn't happy for my adrenaline junkie peanut brain. So I thought, I'll just give myself a little bit of speed as I start going down the slide. The open slide, that's 4 stories tall. So I sat down, turned, and did something that I don't think I was necessarily allowed to do. I grabbed the bar of the fence that was on top of the slide, and I launched myself. And the first 2 seconds were so fun. I was going so fast. And then I saw the drop. As I was about to go over the drop, I had a quick physics realization. I'm going way too fast to stay in the slide. You're supposed to keep your arms and legs crossed when going down this thing, but I panicked and put all of my limbs on the sides of the slide in hopes to slow myself down, but the walls were too slick. If anything, I somehow sped up and got more and more unstable. And as I went over the edge, I am not kidding you, I felt my back completely leave the slide. I was getting more and more separated because I was falling this way and the slide was still angling this way. At this point, we were still a good 3.5 stories up, but since I panicked and put my limbs out, I wasn't falling straight down. I might miss the slide. It's hard to describe what sensation I felt as I looked back and even reached back, and I couldn't even feel the water coming off the thing. I shouldn't have broken the rules. There also should have been rules, and I'm not ready to go yet. I somehow hit the wall of the slide, smacking my shoulder down and falling into it, turning my body around onto my stomach. But since my legs weren't crossed, you know that little pool of water at the end of slides designed to slow you down? Well, when your legs aren't crossed, it hurts. I could barely stand back up. You can definitely chalk this one up to one of my horrible water park experiences, kind of like the time I rode down a water slide inside of a man-made volcano. Definitely check out that video if you haven't already. Comment your most insane childhood story down below. I would love to read it. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and subscribe if you enjoyed.